can't afford a Barbie for your birthday," whispered Elena, as she knelt on the thin carpet of their one-bedroom apartment, her voice barely steady enough to carry the truth. And for a moment she hoped her 6-year-old daughter, Maya, wouldn't notice the way her hands trembled as she held out a small, carefully wrapped box containing socks with pink stars and a second-hand storybook whose spine was already bent from love. Outside, the city buzzed with indifference. But inside that room hung the heavy silence of a promise Elena felt she had failed to keep, because Maya had talked about that Barbie for months, the astronaut one with the silver suit, ever since she'd seen it behind the glass at the toy store near the bus stop. And Elena, a single mom working double shifts as a cleaner in a downtown office tower, had nodded every time. Smiling as if hope were something you could put on layaway, Maya looked at the gift, then at her mother's eyes, and instead of disappointment, she smiled softly and said, "It's okay, Mommy. Dolls get lonely anyway," and that simple kindness almost broke Elena more than tears would have, because it reminded her that children often learn generosity from watching their parents survive. The next morning, Elena went to work early because birthdays didn't pause bills, and as she wiped fingerprints from a glass-walled conference room on the top floor, she noticed a man standing alone by the window, his expensive suit sharply contrasting her worn sneakers, and she didn't know he was the CEO of the company that owned half the buildings in the city. She only knew he looked tired in a way money couldn't fix. As she cleaned, her phone buzzed with a message from Maya's school reminding parents about Show and Tell Week, and Elena sighed without thinking, whispering to herself, "I can't even afford a Barbie," unaware that the man by the window had heard her words echo faintly against the glass. He turned, gently, not with judgment but curiosity, and asked, "I'm sorry, did you say Barbie?" An embarrassment rushed through Elena like heat, yet something in his calm voice made her answer honestly, explaining in a few quiet sentences how her daughter's birthday had come and gone, how she'd tried her best, how sometimes love had to stand in for things you couldn't buy. The CEO didn't interrupt, didn't offer pity, just listened, and when she finished, he nodded once and said, "Thank you for sharing that," before walking out, leaving Elena confused and slightly ashamed for letting her guard slip. 3 days later, Elena was called into the building manager's office, her heart pounding because unexpected. Meetings often meant bad news. But instead she was handed a small envelope and told to check her locker, and inside it she found a handwritten note that read, "For Maya." From someone who believes in quiet heroes, along with an address and a time, uncertain but curious, Elena went after work, bringing Maya along, and when they arrived, they stood in front of a modest community center decorated with balloons and laughter spilling out the doors. Inside, Maya froze in awe as a table appeared covered not just with one Barbie, but with art supplies, books, and a banner that read "Happy Birthday, Dreamer." And standing nearby was the man from the office tower, now kneeling to Maya's level, handing her the astronaut Barbie and saying, "Every explorer needs to know the sky isn't too far," while Elena covered her mouth as tears finally came, because she realized this wasn't about a toy at all, it was about being seen. The CEO later explained that he'd grown up poor too, raised by a mother who worked nights and apologized for things that were never her fault, and hearing Elena's whisper had reminded him how easy it was to forget the weight people carried silently. He didn't give her charity, but opportunity, offering Elena a full-time position with benefits, training, and hours that let her be home for bedtime. And as they walked home that night, Maya clutching her Barbie like a treasure, Elena understood that compassion didn't always arrive loudly. It often came in the form of someone listening, someone choosing to act when they could have walked away. Years later, Maya would tell the story not as one about a doll, but about the day her mother taught her that dignity matters, that kindness can change the direction of a life, and that even when you can't afford what the world says is important, love, when witnessed and honored, has a way of multiplying into something far greater, leaving ripples of hope that travel further than any whispered apology ever could.